All right. Yesterday had my locals, and I decided I wanted to just take a break from meta and play something that I found fun. I decided to take Plunder Patrol to my locals after not playing the deck for probably 5 years. I don't remember it like this is one of the decks that I first built when I actually got into Yu-Gi-Oh, and that was a very long time ago. Not very long, but before COVID started, I was getting into Yu-Gi-Oh, and this was one of the decks that I picked up. And this is one of the first decks I actually took to my locals. And I had taken Tenpai to the regional that happened on the 19th and got my invite and decided I'm just gonna take the day and just play something fun instead, that wasn't really meta relevant. So I decided to take Plunder Patrol, and Tuesdays are usually slower, so it's just easier. But a couple people who were playing meta decks came in, and it surprisingly has a pretty decent matchup against some of the meta decks. So I'll just stop rambling and get on into the profile real quick. So first up, for the main deck, for the Plunders, I played 3 Whitebeard. He's one of your tuners. If he's sent from the hand or the monster zone to the grave, he specials a Plunder from your deck besides another copy of himself, and then you're locked into Plunder Patrol monsters. And then during the opponent's turn, he can quick effect summon a Plunder Patrol monster from your extra deck, depending on the attributes that your opponent has on their field or in their grave. So if they have a dark on field or in their grave, you can summon a dark from your extra deck, or if they have a light, you can summon a light, and so on and so forth. He summons out a extra deck monster and then equips himself to the monster that's summoned, which it just makes it easy to put your boats on board. I played 3 Bluebeard. He's a extender, and he says if he's sent from hand or the monster zone to the grave, you can discard a card as cost to draw one. Which the second effect, I try not to use too much. If I have like too many hand traps, or if I only have like one more Plunder card in my hand, I tend to only use them for his extension effect. And I mean, if I have just extra stuff that I really don't need, I'll discard it to draw one, and it's fine. But yeah, he's an extender. Another extender is Triple Golden Hair. She discards, or she sends a Plunder monster card from your hand or your face-up field to special summon herself, which means if you have a Plunder card in your back row that's equipped to a Plunder monster, she can send it to the graveyard to summon herself from hand, which is really nice, and it's something I didn't realize until playing the deck after a couple years. And then when she's in the graveyard, she lets you discard a card as cost to special summon her from the grave, and then you're locked in Plunders. Yeah, so, she's also one of the tuners. And then we have, I played 2 Redbeard, just because by itself it really doesn't do much. He has the same effect to summon out an extra deck monster, just the same as Whitebeard, but his, when he's sent from hand or field to the grave, he equips himself to another Plunder Patrol monster besides another copy of Redbeard. So I figured that's less useful than Whitebeard, so I figured I should play maybe one less, just to make sure that if I open him, it's usually with something else. And it it worked really well. I also played 2 Black Eyes. This is another extender. It says if it's in your hand, you can target a Plunder Patrol monster or card. Let me see. Plunder Patrol monster in your graveyard, except another copy of himself. He special summons himself from the hand and then adds the target back to your hand, and then locks you into Plunder cards. And then the second effect doesn't really come up too much. If he's sent from hand or field to the grave, you can target a Plunder monster that's face up in your back row and summon it in defense position, which doesn't come up too much. I also didn't really want to see too many of this in the opening hand, just because if I don't have any Plunder cards, Plunder monsters in my grave, I can't really activate his effect. And if I open 2, I can't normal summon this, go into All Mirage, and then do the second one in hand to add back the other and summon and extend. So I played it at 2 just because it's searchable. It's just extremely searchable in this deck. And just like the 2 Redbeard, it was just completely fine, and I loved it. So yeah. Golden Hair is a 1-card combo into Blackbeard, just because you can normal summon her, link into All Mirage, and then discard a card to summon her back to link into Blackbeard, but it's better to be able to make a board with other stuff instead of just Blackbeard, because if they just end on Blackbeard, your opponent just goes draw phase, imperm target, and there's really not much you can do from there. So yeah, this is the ratios. Really liked it, and it worked out pretty well for me. For the spells, I played triple field spell, Patrol Shipyard. Discards a card as cost to search for a Plunder Patrol card. If it's in the grave, you can target a face-up Plunder Patrol card. Yes, Plunder Patrol card in your back row. Put it back in your hand, or sorry, you set this first and then put the target back in your hand. There's a combo that I can show you that just gets you a lot of like material to work with. Yeah, just one terraforming. And then while Shipyard is face up, your Plunder monsters gain 500 attack for each Plunder Patrol card face up in your back row. So if you have a back row full of Plunder Patrol cards, Shipyard is increasing your attack by 2,500, which is big, because that just puts your Synchro monster at 5k, which is crazy. 1 terraforming to search it. I might cut this, because this basically acts as a 4th one, and if I'm not playing any other like Plunder spell cards, so I might cut this for something else, just because these are just all engine, and it's extremely searchable as well. So I don't know. 4 copies of the field spell. I might have to play it some more just to see how I feel. And then for trap cards, I played 2 Plunder Patrol Booty. It's a continuous trap that says you can declare an attribute and then target a face-up monster your opponent controls. Change the attribute to the declared one, and then you can either special summon a Plunder Patrol monster from your graveyard or shuffle it back into the deck, which is really good at reviving your Plunder dudes with attributes you want to work with. I played 2 simply because I kind of just wanted to make sure I opened one, and if it gets outed, I don't have really a way to get it back. But I'm kind of just now realizing I can absolutely play just one, just because the newest Synchro monster, Yord, can, I believe it says, target a Plunder card in your grave. Let me see. Yeah, you can target a Plunder Patrol card in your graveyard to add it back to your hand, and then put Yord in the extra monster zone. So if this gets like destroyed or something, you can add it back with Yord. But I kind of wanted to open it, but I might cut this instead for something else instead of the terraforming, because maybe 2 seems a bit much, just because by itself it does nothing, and if you draw it, it's not that great. But yeah, 2 was fine. I didn't open too many. So yeah, it was just fine. That's it for the Plunder cards. For the other engine I played an adventure package with 3 Water Enchantress, 1 Griffin Rider, 2 Rite of Aramasir, 1 Foolish Burial, 1 Faithful, and 1 Dracoback. This engine kind of just gives the deck life. It's absolutely insane what you can do with this deck, just because you have the adventure package. I think playing a 3rd right might be better than just playing 2. So I think I might cut the 2nd booty for the other right, or maybe one of the Plunder spell cards. Maybe the fusion, the polymerization, ship shipping, just because that also does a lot for the deck. But yeah, I wanna find something to cut so I can play 3 right, because opening this and Whitebeard is absolutely insane. So yeah, Foolish Burial kind of acts as a 4th Water Enchantress, or just easy access into your Plunders in case you open the bird. And then there's really not much to talk about. Griffin Rider is basically the wind ship we've all been waiting for I don't know how many years, but it's really good to have an Omni Negate in this deck instead of just a Monster Negate with the lease. For hand traps, I only played hand traps that were gonna be live if I draw them, off of like Blackbeard's effect. So I didn't play Imperm. I didn't play any of the Dominus trap cards because it just locks you out of some attributes that might be important. So 3 Ash because it's one of the best hand traps besides Imperm. Triple Veiler because it's essentially Imperm. Double Nib because I didn't want to draw too many hand traps, but I wanted to be able to easily draw into them with like just spamming Blackbeard. So yeah, Ghost Mourner is like 2 more Imperms, and then Ghost Ogre was kinda... I think I only opened this against like the Pearly matchup, because both games my opponent went activate My Friend, effect, pay 500 to search, and I just went and Ghost Ogre to pop it, and he really wasn't able to do anything. So yeah, I think this hand trap lineup was actually pretty good. I only played 2 of each of these just because they're hard once per turn. So if I draw into it, I can use it, I guess. I don't know. I don't know what my train of thought there was, but having too many cards that say once per turn, too many hand traps that say hard once per turn is not what we're looking for. So this hand trap lineup worked because I didn't draw too many hard once per turn hand traps. There we go. So yeah, that's my main deck. It was 40 cards, and I think it worked pretty well. For the extra deck, I played 3 of the Captain Blackbeard himself. He is basically just how the deck goes around. He just gets you so much advantage, both on your turn and your opponent's turn. This deck just snowballs into so much stuff that your opponent kind of just can't respond to. Not respond to, but can't come back from, because you can just put so much stuff on your board while also removing stuff from your opponent's board just effectively. So Blackbeard is basically he's a Whitebeard and a Redbeard on crack. So these guys say, you know, summon out a Plunder monster from your extra deck, depending on the attributes your opponent has on field or grave. And then they equip themselves to the monster you summon. Blackbeard is a quick effect. Target a effect monster that you control. Summon the extra deck monster with the same attribute that your opponent has. Equip the target to the monster that you summoned, and then draw a card. Which is insane because you put a monster on the board and just get an additional draw. And then you can do that pretty effectively on both players' turns, and just because it's a quick effect. So yeah, Blackbeard is absolutely crazy for the deck. For other Link monsters, I played one SP Little Knight, one IP, and one Almirage. IP didn't really come up too much, so I think I'm going to cut that for something else. But being able to, on my turn, go into SP to banish something from my opponent's board, and then just continue with Plunder effects, just because you put so many effect monsters or extra deck monsters on the board during your opponent's turn, on the next turn you just have so much monsters that SP's banish on link summon effect is always going to be live. So this card is nuts for the deck, actually. IP didn't really come up, but it's just in case. And then Almirage because Golden Hair is a 1-card combo. Bluebeard and Whitebeard in hand is a plus draw, plus special summon from deck, just because of this guy. Almirage is really good for the deck. For fusions, I played 2 Lise. Lise is a quick effect during the main phase. You can summon a Plunder Patrol monster from your hand or your face-up spell or trap card zone, which is really good because if your opponent has a light monster, you can go effect of Blackbeard target itself, summon out Lise, equip, draw a card, and then during your main phase, or either main phase, you can do Lise's effect, summon back the Blackbeard, and then he's live on the next turn. So that's pretty good. And then Lise says when your opponent activates a monster effect, you can discard a Plunder card to negate the activation, I believe. Yeah, negate the activation. So it can be activated in the damage step against Tenpai. That's pretty good. Negate the activation, and if you do, destroy that card. Then you can search for a Plunder Patrol card if Lise is equipped with a Plunder Patrol card. You can only search if Lise destroys the monster that it's negating, so just keep that in mind. But yeah, Lise is crazy. For synchros, I played 2 Brawn. Brawn has an effect where you can discard a Plunder card to target a spell or trap card your opponent controls, banish it, and if you do, you get to search for a Plunder monster. That effect is a quick effect if it's equipped with a Plunder Patrol card. And then Brawn has the effect where it gives all other Fiend monsters you control plus 500 attack, which in combination with the field spell will let your Plunder monsters get insanely high attack. It's such a cool concept. Other synchro monsters, I played 2 Yord. This card is really good. One, because it can grab you back cards from your graveyard. And then for its pendulum effect, you declare an attribute and then put 2 token on each player's field with the declared attribute. And then you put Yord back in the extra deck. So I'm thinking I might cut Yord to 1, just because you most of the time you properly synchro summon this card. So if it gets outed somehow, you can just bring it right back. And then it's got another effect where if your opponent special summons a monster, except during the damage step, you can add a Plunder Patrol card from your deck to your hand, and then if it's equipped with a Plunder Patrol card, you can special a Plunder monster from your deck, which is insane value. But yeah, just because you can properly summon this 1,000 times out of 10, you don't have to really worry about this getting outed because you can usually bring it right back with some kind of card effect. So I might cut that down to 1, but I played 2. For another synchro, I just played a Dragite because it's easy to make with the adventure package. It's a spell a trap negate, and then because I played Nib, its mill effect might come up. And then for the Xyz, I played 2 Mork, and Mork says it discards a Plunder card to target a face-up effect monster your opponent controls, banish it, and then search a spell or trap. Basically, these two are opposites of each other. The effect is still a quick effect, and then if Mork has Xyz material, if your Plunder cards would be destroyed by battle or card effect, you can detach a material not once per turn to protect it, which might come up in some matchups, but it didn't really come up at locals. But yeah, there are some things. Mainly, I think I would cut these two. Just play some extra deck monsters for. I don't really know what I would replace them with, but yeah, that's the extra deck. And then the side deck, going second, I played 3 Patroll. Just because the more cards you have in your hand in this deck, the better. You just have more material to work with and more discard fodder for your boats. So it's easy to help break a board with this deck if you can draw cards. I played 3 Ghost, Sister, and Spooky Dogwood just because purely I had no idea what else to throw in. So I just threw in this because it's a time card. And if I'm stuck going second, I can do this thing and gain life points. So yeah, that's all it is. It's a time card. In the side deck, I played 1 Illegal Knight because it itself is a board breaker if you go into your adventure stuff. Just because it will bounce 2 cards from your opponent's field to their hand, and then you give control of this. And then with the equip spell, well, it also puts a dark monster on your opponent's board, so that's very relevant in this deck. And then if you have the equip spell, you can bounce another card, so that's at least 3 cards if they let this resolve. So yeah, I think it's pretty good for the deck. Triple Droplet, just because, I guess. Droplet's just a good card. Triple Evenly Matched, just because we need help breaking boards and stuff. And then some interesting cards for the side deck that I played was 1 Rivalry of Warlords, just because if you go into Yord, you put a Fiend monster on their field, and if your opponent isn't playing Yubel, you flip this face up and they can't really do anything. Because they're locked into only being able to have Fiends face up on the field. And then one tech choice that I made that actually came up was Pride of the Plunder Patrol, which essentially is a Kashtira Unicorn effect. It says if you control a face-up Plunder card, right? Yeah, if you control a Plunder Patrol monster as cost, you can send this face-up card from your field to the graveyard to activate one of these effects. And the first effect says your opponent draws 1, and then you look at their hand and then send a monster from it to the grave, which you really don't want to give your opponent a draw. But the second effect says look at your opponent's extra deck and send a monster from it to the graveyard. So you just get to take a peek at your opponent's extra deck, you rip an extra deck monster from it, and that puts an attribute in the graveyard, and your opponent is down an extra deck monster, which is pretty cool. It came up against Yubel. Like game 2, I think I used this to get rid of I broke their board somehow, and I had this, and they had already used a Phantom of Yubel. So I went Pride, take a look at the extra deck, rip the other Phantom of Yubel so they couldn't really make another one, and then Had I played properly, I think I would have won that game, and then we would have gone to game 3, but I messed up and forgot to search off of one of my boats to grab back material. So yeah, this card actually came up. I thought it would never see the time of day, but it did, which is surprising. But yeah, I got third. It was a 6-person tournament, so it was kind of slow, but we had some pretty decent decks going there. There was Pearly and Raid Raptor, and then Millennium, Ubel, and Snake Eye, Fire King, Azamina. So I'd say a pretty overall meta relevant, I guess, tournament. But yeah, that's my Plunder Patrol list. I will keep working on it. I'll make some tweaks to it, and maybe I'll get you guys another deck profile. So I guess let me know what you guys think in the comments, and I'll see you later.